Hi guys, and welcome to episode number 102 of the PT Education Podcast. Here with a guest who we'll introduce in a minute, and Mr. James Shireby. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I was on my own last week, wasn't I?
Yeah.
You bowed out.
Do you prefer it?
You can be asked.
Yeah, you can be asked.
Sacked it off. You're like, you just wanted some time without me, I think.
Well, it's 100 episodes with you in a row, mate. I needed a break.
You needed a bit of a break.
Yes.
I had a great time. I've really enjoyed it. We always joke about enjoying solo podcasts. I banged on for over 40 minutes.
Oh, they're easy.
I looked at it, I was like, 40 minutes.
I've got
me just listening to the sound of my own voice.
Well, especially when there's no one there to critique what you're saying.
No.
It's fucking crack
no
on.
No one to listen to. No feedback.
No feedback.
I thought it went well. So if anyone hasn't listened to that, you'll be, it's would have been last week's podcast.
It's bad. I haven't actually listened to it. I will listen to it before next week. I should listen to it.
It's always good, isn't it?
It's an extra download. It's an extra download, isn't it? I didn't even listen.
It's an extra download.
I didn't even listen.
That's all of our downloads come from that, is each other.
Yeah, each other.
Yeah.
And just the people we send it to.
Yeah.
You download it, don't listen.
But I'm good, mate.
Okay.
Now you're back. You weren't really anywhere, actually, were you? You're just doing life jobs. You put the life jobs before the podcast last week.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
That's the truth, isn't it?
Yeah, it is the truth.
Yeah.
Sometimes some stuff happens.
Sometimes life gets in the way.
Yeah, well, I spoke about this. I forgot, actually. A friend of mine messaged me during the week, and he said, how's everything getting on at the studio? I was thinking, fucking hell, news of travel far. He lives in London. I was like, how do you know? He said, you spoke about it on the podcast. Yeah. I completely forgot. We did, didn't we, on episode 100?
See, other people do listen.
Other people do listen.
Apart from my mum.
Yeah, my mum doesn't either.
No.
Yeah, no, it's good. Getting to grips with everything now. Got a couple of good things happening. Well, today, although we're a week out, so last week we put an ad out for trainers, so I'm sure people are more aware of what's happening. If they're fucking interested, most people probably aren't.
Yeah. If you're in the Tunbridge Wells area,
you're in the Tunbridge Wells area.
You're a personal trainer.
Yeah,
you're half decent.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, here you go.
Send your CV in.
Send your CV in. And we'll take a look. Yeah, that's a really good point. If anyone is, I
did your for you. It was a bit commission or something.
Do you know what? That's a good point. Yeah, we are looking for just a couple of new trainers at TWPT. So if there is anyone who listens in the local area and is interested, I put on the advert, and I think you'll appreciate this, James. The only things we're looking for is level 3 qualified for insurance purposes. But apart from that, just people that are passionate about helping other people and are driven to improve their coaching through further education.
Yeah.
I think that's the only two qualities, obviously being a good person, they're the only real qualities you can teach everything else. If you've got someone who's passionate about helping people, connects with people and wants to get better, I think that's the foundation, isn't it?
And so that's what we're looking for. Mindset, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think if you've got the right mindset, wouldn't that be a big part of today's conversation, I'm sure. If you have the right mindset, which could be grown, developed over time, the rest is teachable, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, if you're open to absorbing information, open to learning in whatever field you're working in, you're going to do all right.
Yeah.
So mindset gets you there, and you're looking for someone with the right attitude and the right mindset, and that will get them in the right place.
They'll get them there, right? If you look at anything else like mechanics or nutrition, that's just learned information. And someone who's passionate and driven, they're going to want to pick that up anyway.
Yeah, and it's how you use that information, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
So today we have got a guest, a client of mine. He's been a client for a long time. I was trying to work it out earlier, actually. It's well over a decade, and maybe even 12 years, which shows both of our ages. Luckily, I'm a bit younger, so it's all good.
Doesn't show on.
Not just a client, a friend as well, and also mine and Dan's accountant. So we're very careful about what we say today. Not to kind of
sort of blur the lines.
It's all a bit blurred. I've had 2 coffees, so I've got to be careful today. But first of all, Darren, Austin, thanks for coming on, mate.
Thank you very much, mate.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for the invite.
And I think today's going to be a really good conversation because myself and Dan are obviously talking a lot about personal development, health, psychology, well-being from our lens, you know, and the education that we've learned as personal trainers. And the people we've interviewed previously are often all coaches or very into the psychology field. So yourself, you've not got a clue in any of this stuff, have you?
Nope.
No, but actually, jokes apart, you're in a totally different industry, you know. Yeah. So I think hearing your experience through a client's lens is really vital for coaches to hear, because I think we lack a lot of empathy in our field. I think we're very much still very dogmatic, very much telling people what to do, pretty shit at listening on the whole. So hearing a client's journey and experience for however long it's been between you and me, 12 plus years.
It's got to be at least 12.
Yeah, exactly. I think it can't be that old, but the grey hairs are coming through a little bit, so it's just like, it's showing, mate. Yeah. That's because I've trained you for 12 years.
Doing very well.
I'd have forced their hair before training Darren. I'd locked everything.
You watch out for your next tattoo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but be careful here. But I think a nice place to start might be people to understand kind of maybe where you were 12, 13, 14, 15, even 20 years ago to where you are now? And that's quite a big question, really, but the differences between where you've been to where you are now. How would you describe the two different versions of Darren Austin? Let's start with that.
Whoa, chalk and cheese.
Chalk and cheese.
Probably mentally and physically. So when we met, whatever it was, 12 years ago, I was definitely unfit. I think I'd been reasonably fit as a kid. Naturally, when you're younger, let that go. It drifts and drifts and drifts, and you get more and more unfit until one day you look in the mirror and think, "Oh, I've noticed," and suddenly you realise. And I think at that stage, I went along to wherever you were training. I think it was LA Fitness, and naively said, "Can you just give me a training program I can follow? Can I have a half an hour quick chat with you, and we'll have a training program to follow?" And you sort of think, well, that'll sort all my problems out. So the bottom line is, you really haven't got an idea. You know what you want to do. You know you want to somehow change. You're not happy where you are. You know you want that to change, but you really have no idea of what that involves and how to do it, which is obviously where you guys come in. But yeah, if you'd have asked me 12 years ago what that would look like, I wouldn't have had a clue. I'd have thought, you're going to give me something, I'm going to go away and do it a couple of times a week, and jobs are good, and then that's it. But obviously there's a lot more involved in that, and a bit like a lot of things, the more you get to know about it, the more you realise there is to know about it, and the more you can finesse things and change it. So yeah, it's an enjoyable journey.
I think journey's a good word. I think one thing you were saying there about how we can all sort of slow deteriorate if we're not working at something, no matter what age we're at. You could be 20, 30 or 60, whatever, just not keeping your eye on the ball with your health, any aspects of your career, your relationships, how they can just bit by bit deteriorate. We get a bit complacent, and suddenly something happens, we're like, well, I'm not I'm not happy with this. It could be a financial situation, it could be relationships, or anything with your health. How did you know when you got to that point, like, something needs to change? How did you kind of know, you know what, I need to make a difference here, something needs to change?
I think it was something as ridiculous as that suit I haven't worn for a while, that I've put on, that I used to think was fine. Why doesn't that fit anymore?
Suit's shrunk, isn't it? That tailor's crap.
Sarah, have you washed my suit? And there's that sudden blinding. I think you kind of know, but you put it to the back of your mind. No, that's fine. It's just, I'm just getting a bit older and everything's fine. And I think one day it gets to the stage where you can no longer ignore it. It just gets to that stage where it's like, and then you've got to make a decision. Am I happy with that? Is it, this is it, and fine, or no, I'm not happy with that, and I need to do something about it. And for me, I think it was, and there's that. So in the back of your head, there's always, God, I used to be fit. You know, I was fit once. I was fit. You know, I could do that again. And you suddenly realise, maybe I can't, or if I want to, I've got to start now before it goes beyond that point of no return. So I think, just some stage it just clicks and it's like, no, I've got to do something about this.
I think there's two parts to that. Number one is the honesty, being really honest with yourself, and sort of secondly, really having the kind of courage to go, right, how am I going to make this change then? You know, it's all willing, because people are triggered for change once the discomfort gets enough. If the suit was just a tiny bit tight, you might not have thought about it. At that stage you think the suit's really not fitting now. Okay, that we often need enough discomfort to cause a change. And for you, some discomfort was literal physical discomfort of how your body was, suit not fitting well. And then there's and Dan, you spoke about this the other day, about having the courage to step in that gym and ask for help and support, which sometimes people can, first of all, they can get the awareness, that's level one, but second is taking the action. It's something very, very different. And that's something that, again, you've worked on, haven't you, over these years, just to take action, whether the stuff that we've discussed together or whatever. And that's where the value's really created, isn't it? It's through that action. Yeah,
I mean, and again, but going back to 12 years ago, I had no idea what it entailed. I thought, I'll go along, I'll spend a couple of hours a week. I don't have to change my life in any way, or my diet, or anything else, and it will get better. And you and that leads to a whole period of frustration when you slowly realise that actually I've got to build more and more on this. But I think, once you've got past that, I've got to do something, with the support of guys like you that can tell you what to do, you can start moving forward. I think what would have been a complete mistake, and I imagine a lot of people do it, and it would have been very easy for me to do, is to go to the gym, not speak to someone that knows what they're doing, spend 2-3 hours a week in a gym probably doing the wrong stuff, and after a month going, this don't work.
Yeah.
And then
Gym's
walking
crap,
away.
innit?
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't say that.
Yeah. So it's taking action, but having the right support network around you to make sure you're taking the right action. And when things you think aren't going your way, if people say to you, no, you're doing the right thing, persevere, keep going, we'll tweak it, we'll get it better, we'll move it. Because I can see it being very easy to, just go, nah, it's not for me. Tried it, failed. Didn't work.
There's a couple of things that pop into my mind with what you were saying there, early stuff, and the noticing and the gradual of the noticing, because I've had that with clients. They notice like a kilo's gone on and you don't really pick up too much in that, and then you put another kilo on at a different occasion. It might be a summer holiday, and then maybe a kilo on Easter, and all of a sudden a year later there's 5 kilos on, but it's gone on very gradually. It's a bit like your fitness dipping, like you were saying. Well, I used to be able to do that, but it's gradually over a period of time declined, and it's at a rate that you don't really notice until one day you have this moment where you go, fucking hell. And like you say, there's that moment of awareness that you can't give a narrative to, and I see that a lot with clients, and then they'll come in. I remember once a guy put on like 6 stone, and he was like, it sounds bonkers, but he's like, I didn't see it happening. And in one day had a bit of a moment, like it sounds like yours was, and he was like, fucking hell, I've got to do something about this. And as James said, you've got the awareness there, and then actually you've got the ability to be able to take the action. The other thing I think is that I was interested in is we always think that when we're younger, we're able to do that stuff. And then it's default that as we get older, we won't be able to do that stuff. How often do we see that or hear clients talk about that? When in reality, even if you start later, even if you got to 50s and 60s, you can always be fitter than you are and stronger than you are. Are you ever going to be back to your 20s? No. But you can always improve on where you are. And I think they're two really good messages that we can get out there to people.
But it's also about the lies or excuses or misdirection that you tell yourself.
Yeah.
It's only a kilo. It's just because I'm getting older. It's just because I've been on holiday. Suddenly it's 2 kilos. Yeah, but it's only a kilo in the last month. But then coupled with, well, I'm 40 now, I'm 45 now, and that's how it should be. That's how most people are. I don't need to go and change anything. That particularly if your cohorts around you are all in a very similar position.
Yes.
But again, then we tell that excuse of, I can't change it.
Yeah.
No one my age goes down to the gym. But you're right, you can always change something. You can always make something better.
Always.
But it's easier to make excuses.
It is. I think it's a really interesting point about people around you of your age at a similar time in life, because, I don't have any yet, but kids come along, get more responsibility at work generally, maybe in extra financial stressors, and you all end up in a similar sort of position. I've seen it loads with clients, and it takes that one person maybe who's going to make the change, and that's quite, and we've spoken about this, it can be quite uncomfortable, even if you're going to get healthier, to step outside of what you're used to and what all your friends and peers do and do something different, even if it's healthier, can be really difficult. So again, it's that idea of stepping into the gym is
almost like negative peer pressure.
Yeah.
Instead of having positive people saying, oh, come and do it, it's like, but no, we're just going for a beer. Come and have a beer. And sometimes people don't want you to change because it holds a mirror up to them.
Yeah. And we see that. We spoke about that before. You see that a lot with clients, and you can see their partner maybe, or a friend who maybe wants to make the same change but isn't in the same place, and they don't think they realise they're doing it. And it's like, I don't feel like it's malicious a lot of the time.
Oh no, not at all.
But yeah, because we spoke about that before, haven't we? Where your peer group or people around you.
Well, we're influenced by our environment all the time, aren't we? So by putting ourselves in better environments, coaching is a great example, isn't it? You're surrounded by people who are maybe like-minded, people who are wanting to get fitter and healthier, work on their personal growth and development. If you're in other parts of your life who people aren't like that, you might get drawn away from those things that are really valuable to you. I think interesting listening to your story from when you started out. It's quite kind of a quick fix mentality, isn't it? Which I think a lot of people are in. Like, got a problem, how can I solve this really easy and really quickly? But we think about kind of getting fulfillment and satisfaction and the best out of anything in life. It doesn't come with ease and quickness. It comes with difficulty and challenge and consistency over a long period of time, and people don't really want those answers. So it's kind of like, on one hand, giving people simple, small things to tweak all the time, because you've seen over 12 years, there's always constant little things you can tweak on. But on the other side, realising that these things aren't a quick fix.
Yeah.
And it takes time, and we have to have that mindset. If I think about this podcast or my growth and development or my health or well-being, I see it as a lifestyle, as something that I'm going to do for as long as I possibly can, rather than how can I get this thing solved and fixed as quickly as possible. But society is always telling us quick fix, and we love that, don't we? Give us this instant gratification. It's a real shift in mindset that I think as a society we need to have.
Yeah, I was just to say, I agree with that, and I certainly had that quick fix mentality.
Yeah.
But I've come now to completely understand and agree that it's more about your lifestyle and your ongoing journey. It is not, I'm going to get fit, I'm going to spend a bit of time in the gym and get fit, but then I'm going to go back to what I was doing before.
Yeah.
This is your way of life. And it's great. And that journey is now, you keep changing your destination. I want to tweak this bit now, I want to tweak that. But it's all about just continuing to do those small regular bits. And it's not right, I've achieved it now, I'm going to stop doing it. It's continuous.
It's also interesting how when you talk to people who are in business, you're in your own business, and it's the same sort of mentality, isn't it? You're growing something, you know it's not going to start where you want it to be. You know, you're going to get it going first, and then over a period of time you'll grow, and hopefully it develops into something, and you know it's not going to be an overnight fix. I quite often see, I don't know whether you found this, which will be the question, but I've seen business people be able to apply that logic into their fitness. When you explain it to them, be like, I know where I want to go. I know I've got this journey to go on. I know it's not always going to be easy, but I know equally it's not just going to happen overnight. And I'm guessing you've had that same similar sort of journey with business, have you? Where it's gradually grown over a period of time?
Yeah, absolutely. The way we look at business development is like any journey. Where am I now? Where do I want to get to? How do I get there? What's my route? How do I want it to progress?
Yeah.
And the same, you know, in your business development, I know I want my business to look like that, and you start working towards it. But actually, when you get near it, okay, well now I want it to start looking like that. I want it to, and it's not I'm going to get there and then stop advertising or stop developing. It's I'm going to continue that journey. And it's the same with just about anything. The only thing that probably changes is your perceived destination of where I want to get to.
Yeah.
But it's and the whole point is not try and think of, oh God, I've got to get through a 12-month journey to get there. It's enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Because the journey's that's the bit you're enjoying. The journey's never going to stop.
Yeah.
Whatever your destination is, you're going to be on your journey. So enjoy it and make sure that you're just making sure you're heading towards where you want to go.
That's such an important message, isn't it? And I feel like we spoke about that recently in different contexts.
Well, I think about it. There's that famous film, isn't it, called The Pursuit of Happiness? I think rather than pursuit of happiness, find happiness in the pursuit.
Yeah.
So if you can find fulfillment and joy and satisfaction in amongst uncomfortable emotions and challenges, that is a happy quality life. Most people are, when I get that lean, then I've achieved success and I'm done then. Or when my business gets to that point, or I have that amount of money, that's the end destination. But it's not. There'll just be another bit to it. So always trying your best to find fulfillment in the journey. And it is a kind of cliche, but I don't think people connect to that enough. I think we're almost programmed to think, if I just have a bigger house, a better car, better looking body, whatever, then I'll be happy. And happiness just doesn't work like that. And I think as you're talking, that's
that conditional happiness. I'll only be happy with that, but why can't I be happy now?
Yes.
And continue to be happy. That's got to be the aim of work, life, everything.
But marketing and society is telling us our happiness is conditional.
Yeah.
So we get marketed. You need this to be happy. You need to have this. You need to have that. And having the awareness to think, I don't need to have that. I can have those things, but I'm not. Those material items or those destinations or achievements aren't. My happiness isn't conditional on those things. I think that's a real kind of key point. Something we talked a lot about in coaching is seeing the value in the simple, basic things, and we're always reiterating those things. And sometimes it might seem boring to people, but those foundations get everyone like 90% of the way. For you, it's like a little test now, isn't it? What are they? Don't get this wrong.
Fuck it up, we're live.
Yeah. Really embarrassing.
Now we find out what James is actually like as a coach.
James told me not to do any carbohydrates.
12 years ago, Darren, 12 years ago.
That's a 16 you crew up, Swanee, isn't it? Oh God! But no, for you personally, because you can answer it however you want, but you can't.
I love the fact you had to add that.
What are you trying to write down for me?
What are those kind of simple foundational things that you are constantly working on and staying on top of, that you see a lot of value in, that really get you 90% of the way with your health?
Consistency, nutrition, sleep, recovery, exercise. I guess, are the main ones. But it's consistency, isn't it, with all of that?
Yeah.
There's no good having a great week than having 2 crap weeks. You've got to try and keep it going.
Consistency and patience are like boring words, but I throw them out all the time.
Yeah,
and it's trying to create an environment and a set of behaviours that you can be consistent with. That might look different for you than with Dan. Everyone's going to look a bit different, but whatever we're trying to be consistent with, that needs to move the needle in line with our values and where we want to go. And it's figuring that out, isn't it? And I think something me and Dan talk a lot about, and we do each week, is talk and reflect. And a lot of people don't talk and reflect on stuff. And if you don't talk and reflect, there's a cost to that, because you never really know how things go, and you're not actually assessing the previous week. What kind of value have you got through kind of having those weekly reflections and those weekly conversations about your health and well-being? How's that kind of impacted you and your decisions in your life?
It's made a significant difference. I mean, the health, I'm feeling much better than I was 12 years ago. There's no two ways about it. I'm much nearer to, I'm very happy where I am, and I've got a journey where I want to go. The whole reflection thing and I know we spend a fair bit of time each week talking about these sort of things in terms of mental health has been phenomenal. In terms of reflecting on, just when you wake up in the morning or before you go to bed at night, what went well today or yesterday, what didn't go so well, how could I handle that better? What if I'd have dealt with that slightly differently and caused myself slightly less stress? Just taking 5 or 10 minutes and having those thoughts about things, it's going to sound really shitty, but it just makes me feel a lot better about myself. That, do you know what, I could probably handle that a bit better next time. I probably won't get it right, but maybe I'll get it a bit better next time. And I think just taking the time to do that, and sometimes say to yourself, do you know what, you did all right there, or room for improvement. Because if you don't do that, how are you going to get it better next time? It's really as simple as that. But what we're all after really is stress-free life. So the more you can reflect on what's working, what's not working, and do more of the what's working and less of the other, the better it's going to be.
Yeah, I suppose we create more stress for ourselves than maybe we need to. I think life will obviously throw stresses, and there will be stress. It's inevitable. But yeah, we have so much kind of internal psychological struggle and suffering because we don't understand our own psychology. We don't understand psychology much. So we can relieve some of that suffering and have a life that's more fulfilling when we do that reflection.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're doing some gratitude stuff there, and you're just looking at your behaviours, realising that we're all making mistakes all the time, and we just reflect on that and go, how can I just do that a little bit better? But you also don't have compassion there to say, better, not perfect, just a little bit better next time. Can I just have that conversation with that person, or be in that situation next time, or have that workout or whatever, and make a slightly better decision, or be a bit more focused, or whatever the context may be. I think that's the only way that we develop. Through that reflection. I think on the note of development as well, is we're talking about this a lot from like a health, well-being and coaching context, but it's not just you involved in this. I have to grow and develop myself, and something that me and Dan talk a lot about is personal trainers and coaches or anyone growing and developing themselves, and that growth and development will correlate to their clients' growth and development, because if I've changed a lot in those 12 years. A lot better looking now, of course. That helps.
I do want to say.
That's the biggest development for me. Well, how did you look 12 years ago, James? That's it. I'll say it now.
Well, you put a picture up of you from 12 years ago with Cal recently, didn't you?
Yeah, terrible.
No, you're bigger.
Yeah.
I've
got taller, mate.
You're taller. Wish that would happen to me. I'm getting shorter.
But jokes apart, it's really key that any relationship that's going to go well, both sides need to be growing and developing. That could be professionally, that could be with friends, family, partners. Like, if one person's doing the work and the other person isn't, that relationship isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm growing and developing, Dan's like, sod that. James is just banging on each week, not going to absorb it. Then our relationship's going to suffer, and eventually you're probably just going to leave, or I'm just going to stop training you. Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's off you go. But I think the point being is that this is a journey that everyone needs to go on together. And it isn't the other way around. A lot of coaches see it as a responsibility to the client. Well, you grow and you change. I'll give you all that stuff. You're like, how about you? You've got to look at yourself. If you want more out of others in any relationship, get more out of yourself first. And it's amazing. People either come along with the ride, and that can really flourish and turn into something really special, or it just won't and it will fade away.
Yeah.
And that's just a real kind of key point to make.
Absolutely. Especially as PT's growing, because I have to say, I would be bored if I hadn't. So I would be bored, and that would go across onto my clients. And with the level of knowledge you have at the start, that'll get your clients to a certain point. But then if you're not going to progress beyond that, where are you going to take your clients further within the journey? And especially with the clients that we train, people like yourself, Darren, where it's a health thing, it's a long-term goal to be fit and healthy as we get older, then actually we need to be consistently developing. Otherwise, we're not going to be. There's going to be a block on how much we can help people.
Yeah.
And also, but like I say, energy even within a session. I'm going on a course this Friday, and I'm looking forward to it because it just energizes you again, doesn't it? It just gets you going again, or like a new goal. I mean, I'm sure you guys still set new health and fitness goals every now and then, and it suddenly just rejuvenates you again, doesn't it? Even if you've got a client that's been training for a long period of time. I've got one client in particular. She just likes to set new goals. She's always training for her health, but just a couple of little things, 100 kilo deadlift or something like that, just to keep her ticking over.
And presumably, when you go on this new course you're doing, it might reinforce some knowledge you got, but it might be some new things. You can go, great, I can introduce that. That's
nothing I don't know, Darren. That's the trouble.
Yeah.
It's nothing I don't know.
That's got it all.
No, exactly that. There's new stuff that you're excited to bring down. Oh, yeah. Sit down, Michael. No, I've got this one. No, it does. It energises me because you learn, like you say, there's stuff that's that you reinforce. Actually, do you know what? It doesn't feel good in the moment, but it's actually far better. And I have spoken about this before. The stuff that you'll go in there and I'll get wrong, but that's the stuff I remember. The stuff you sort of go in and get right, because you already know it, effectively. If you're confirmed that you're right, you don't really remember that so much. But when I go in there and set something up Friday, tomorrow wrong, which is inevitable, and we get discussing and we start to talk about it, that's what really implants. Like, I didn't have that quite right. And that really gets the old juices going. I find.
But if there weren't things like that, there'd be no point in going on the course. Just
100%.
to reinforce what you know. So,
well, some people do that though.
Oh, right.
I'm just going to go on that course, tell me I'm right, and crack on. But no, absolutely. I think it really energises. I mean, I'm going to flip this a little bit. How was James 12 years ago? Have you seen a real development in him?
God,
James, I'm sure we'll say, was very different, because when we started training 12 years ago, it was literally, we're just going to get in the gym, we're just going to work out, we're just going to show you how to get you moving. And originally there was a lot of stuff just getting my hips and other sort of issues sorted out, but then it was a lot about, right, everything's going to be focused on what we're doing in the gym. And over the years, as James has changed his approach and developed, there's been a lot more, why are you doing this, how do you do this, the mental health side of things, which has been great, because that's been massively important for me. So it's really helped me. But yes, that's been, I guess, quite a change, and something you're keen to continue developing.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose life is about the behaviours that you're implementing, isn't it, really? And as a personal trainer, 12 years ago would have been a lot more exercise and body focus, and now, which is in line with my own personal values, is helping people psychologically. I talk a lot about psychology on the podcast, and really happy with change. You said right at the beginning of our conversation today about kind of knowing deep down that you want something to change, and a lot of people listening to this have got something in their life they want to change. There could be something within their career, it could be something with their behaviours, really small. Could be even a bigger lifestyle change, but they're creating narratives, again, like you said earlier, to make themselves feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
So to sit down with someone, a professional, and better have a safe space to talk about what's really going on in your life, what you might be struggling with, what the behaviours that you really want to change, and to come up with a plan to implement that is something that I'm personally really passionate about. But I think we all need that in our lives. It might be with a coach, it could be with a counsellor, it could be with a personal development coach, it could be with a mentor, a business coach. It's all the same sort of idea. Someone to sit down, listen to you, understand your values and what's most important, and then come up with solutions and strategies to kind of move you in that path. And that's a team thing. That's not me saying to you, this is what you should do. I can give you ideas, but it's about me understanding you and then helping you move in direction with your values, not me going, you know what, mate, this is what you need to do, just go and do that. I think an interesting one to maybe go into is alcohol. You and me have talked a lot about alcohol for the years, and your relationship with it has changed, hasn't it? Based upon your experiences and again, your values. How has that changed for people listening? Because alcohol is something that's such a big part of our society, isn't it? It's something that we're really programmed to do socially. I'm going to multitask here.
It'll still probably pick up your voice from here, mate, to be honest with you.
But I do think looking at our relationships with alcohol is something that some people do, but they push it down a little bit. And I think maybe you can relate to this, where you drink, but then subconsciously or even consciously, this isn't quite right, or you don't want to be doing it, and it's setting you back a little bit. I think it'd be really useful to maybe share some of your experiences and your attitudes towards alcohol now, currently, as opposed to what it might have been previously.
Okay, well, what it was previously was easy to say, too much of it. I like to drink. In fact, I like several drinks. And to be honest, most of the time I didn't see a problem with that, although there is no two ways about it. Even if you're not a problem drinker, drinking a lot impacts your ability to do other things. If you wake up and you're feeling hungover, you ain't going to put your best day's work in or best gym session or whatever it is. And over many years, I've had the periods of drinking too much, periods of not drinking so much, going back to drinking a lot. And probably over the last 3-4 years, when we've been talking more and more about this, I have questioned more, why do I drink? What do I get out of it? Is it doing me good, not good? And I spent a lot of time balancing what are the benefits of alcohol to what are the downsides of alcohol.
Yeah.
Downside of alcohol, yeah, everyone can list those. Benefits, you think, I can sing when I've had a
I'm funny. I'm like a comedian.
I'm brilliant. And just through you and I talking and me questioning that more and more, and in fact, I read a book about alcohol and the perceived benefits of it, which was supposed to be an easy way to control alcohol, but it was actually much more about, really, why do you drink and what are the benefits? I've suddenly realised, in my opinion now, and this has only changed recently, so this could all change again.
Well, we're interviewing in 6 months' time.
Let's try it in 6 months, see if I'm slurring. For me, I've realised that actually there are no benefits to alcohol. The trouble is, it is so socially ingrained in everything we do. From the minute you're old enough to listen, hello mate, we'll catch up over a beer.
Yeah.
Oh, I've had a baby, let's put the baby's head. Let's go out and celebrate, we'll have some champagne. Everything revolves around alcohol. Yeah. So it convinces you completely, consciously and subconsciously, that you need a drink to enjoy yourself. I haven't had a drink, not long, a couple of months, just before Christmas. I started cutting down significantly from August, and I've not had a drink at all for nearly 2 months. I'm not missing it at all. It hasn't impacted on any social occasions. I've still got, to be honest, if I were going out, with the lads on a complete and utter piss up, that might be difficult, and the chances are I just probably wouldn't go.
Yeah.
But in terms of going out socially, going for a meal where I'd normally have a glass of wine, I'm going out with friends. They're having a glass of wine if they want. I'm not. No one's bothering. My enjoyment of the evening has not changed whatsoever. In terms of, so am I missing out on anything at all? No. Are there any upsides? Training's better, concentration's better, I'm feeling better. I lost 5 kilos towards the end of last year, and I'm much more on point with my nutrition this year. Gym sessions have got better. It really is chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. And I am absolutely loving not drinking and not missing it. Again, do you know what? Something could happen in 2 months where we go out and I suddenly fancy a beer and I end up having a few beers. I don't know.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I'm going to carry on with that journey, and it's made probably a real significant difference to my life. I think in terms of just focus at work, getting more things done. When I've changed some other things at work recently and work's going really well, but I can't take not drinking out of that mix. It's in there. So whether the other things I've changed are 80% and not drinking is 20%, I think it's in there somewhere.
Absolutely.
So I'm really enjoying the journey at the moment of not drinking, the targets we've set in terms of training, and it's all going well.
Yeah, thanks for that reflection, mate. I wanted to bring it up because I think it's something that everyone listening most people can relate to, because it's just such a big part of our society, and it's healthy to question things, isn't it? It's healthy to reflect on things and go, how is this behaviour influencing me? What are the upsides and downsides? And there's upsides and downsides to everything, isn't it? And everyone just needs to find their own balance depending on their goals and their values. And you've got there again through conversation and reflection.
Yeah.
And then making tweaks and adjustments. I think it's an interesting thing to look at, isn't it? Our relationship towards anything, and our relationship around alcohol is a fascinating area to look at.
I did it 23, 24 years ago with cigarettes. I read a book by the same author about stopping smoking.
Right.
And it was an incredibly repetitive book, because what it was trying to do was de-brainwash you from the fact, a bit like alcohol, cigarettes are great for you, have a fag, and it just suddenly, I woke up one day, read the book, woke up next day and thought, I don't want a cigarette today.
Yeah.
And that was probably 24 years ago, and I've never missed it. It wasn't a willpower. It wasn't, I really fancy I'm not going to have it. I just didn't want to smoke anymore.
Literally cold turkey, just bang, done.
Yeah.
Right, not even cold turkey, just done.
Just done. Yeah. And didn't miss it at all.
Right.
And at the moment, that's pretty much where I am with alcohol.
Yeah.
It didn't change with cigarettes. Alcohol is slightly different. But yeah, I'm just hoping it will go the same way.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because it is that awareness and questioning why. I've had people go both ways that I've spoken to recently, and neither way they've questioned, because it sounds like you've questioned both ways and you've looked at both sides. You've gone, well, this is what's happening when I'm drinking, pros and cons, and this is what happens when I'm not drinking, pros and cons. Yeah. I think that's a really good way to do it, isn't it? Actually go through both sides and weigh it up, and if you enjoy a drink at a social occasion or don't, and what does it bring to you? Is there more downsides? And I've had people go, like I say, I've had people go both ways, where they haven't reflected on one way. They've gone one way and not reflected on it, or gone the other way. And I think it's really important that you've done both, and just understand you and what it brings to you or what it takes away from you. I think it's really important.
It's very easy to get into habits, like particularly working from home.
Yeah.
A habit I got into because I find it difficult to switch off from work sometimes.
Yeah.
So it'd be like, 6 o'clock, I'm still working, and emails be, do you know what, I'll go and crack a beer. And I'm saying, I'm having a beer now, I don't want to work. So I associated having a beer with stopping work.
Yeah.
And that's something that became a habit. And it's very easy to have these little things where, okay, I've stopped that now, so I'll have a beer. That's it. Whereas I could just turn the computer off.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't, because you just create these habits, and you just got to suddenly think through them sometimes and go, do I really need to do that? What's it bringing to it?
Yeah. We have that when we come back from like a nice holiday, and maybe on a holiday, especially if we go down to Spain, we'll have like a beer at lunch, normally nothing more, and then in the evening we might share a bottle of wine. So it's not loads, but it's each day. And one thing Becky says when we get back, we tend to do like a month, then we don't drink as much, or we certainly stop drinking every day, mainly because she straight away wants to break that habit, because it's not something she's done it while she's on holiday, where, like I say, we just have a couple of things, but because it's every day, you almost get used to it. So she just wants to straight away break that habit and just get back to, she doesn't drink very often at all. She can quite often go 2 or 3 weeks, and it won't even occur to her. But it is, my point is, it's easy to get into the habit, isn't it? Loads of people did it over COVID.
Yeah.
Where they're just having to drink every single day, and then struggled afterwards. I know I had a few clients who struggled to break that habit as life came back to normal. But
we associate good times with it.
We do.
But the good times happen anyway.
Yeah, it was true.
Yeah, I mean, looking at habits, a lot of habits do become kind of conditioned, don't they? Conditioned behaviours that are so automatic. It's not about choice, it's just about something that happens. And alcohol's such a great example of that. Maybe food as well.
Yeah.
People go, right, I associate this with this.
Yeah.
And just stop and question that and go, well, can I break that habit? And then you have more choice and go, okay, well, maybe I could be in the same setting and not drink. We went out on Saturday for the first time ever, probably didn't have a drink together.
Yeah.
And that was something different. It's just a different experience. That was like, it's not happening again, mate.
It's actually one time, mate. We actually went. We had.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like
Diet Coke with sushi.
Yeah.
Well, you have to talk to each other.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense as well.
Yeah,
you
just
talk at each other.
Understand what each other was saying. But
it was a nice evening, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was sort of a great evening. Enjoyed the food.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's quite nice to do these little experiments.
Yeah.
And rather than saying, oh, I'm going to stop drinking forever, or I'm just going to keep drinking forever, well, why don't you just do just an experiment? And I think what we also do through reflection, we talked a lot about subjective stuff, but also we use objective data now, don't we, as well? And this isn't going to be for everyone, but actually getting some information through your watch, your smartwatch and your smartphone and stuff. Have a look, Whoop, isn't it? And have a little look at maybe your heart rate variability, resting heart rate, whatever, your stress responses. And then we've got more data to go, is this experiment working? And what are the effects of this experiment? And in this example, we're talking about alcohol, talk about anything. And then you can go, it gives you more information. And you like data as well. So we use, as an accountant, you love numbers. So we sort of use it a lot. Some people just don't like numbers, so I'm not going to use it with them. Even
They're so much better than emotions.
Talk about numbers all day long. But that's been useful for you, hasn't it? That correlation of, when I do this, these are the results subjectively, like you've mentioned, but also there's some objective measurements that we've used and data that we've used to see how these behaviours are influencing you. Not just alcohol, it could be going to bed on time.
Yeah.
If you're using technology too much, if you're eating too much, whatever, all these things, your body weight, another metric. There's so many metrics, but it's nice to have some sort of measurements, isn't it? To basically know if you're on the right track.
Yeah. and as you said earlier, there are no quick fixes. So there's no point in going to the gym for a week and then going, oh, do I look better? Have I lost a stone or whatever?
Yeah.
But over a slightly longer period, if you can get a load of data, and that data is moving slowly in the right direction, that does reinforce actually, I am doing the right thing. It does help, and that just helps keep you positive and keeps you wanting to do it. And also then, as you say, you can change different things. What if I get off my phone an hour before bed? Does that improve my sleep quality?
Yeah.
Just having that data just reinforces it and just helps keep you positive and on the right track.
It really does, because sometimes people might hear these things in podcasts or the media and they're like, oh, yeah, I could do that, but does it make that much difference? And when you just go the experiment, let's just try this, get off your phone earlier for just this next week and then see how you feel. And when you feel the benefit for something, you're like, wow, I might try and keep doing that. It's when we get the benefits, then that kind of cements that we should keep it going. And what we're thinking about here now is really feeling good. Something you and me have spoke a lot about is feeling good is all relative. Yeah. And you've been saying this from early on in our conversation, you don't know what you don't know, essentially. So the Darren from 12, 13 years ago, that the baseline was very different to what the baseline is now, isn't it? And we've talked a lot about, haven't we, actually, the way that you feel now is different, but you didn't know that before. You don't know what you don't know.
If I'd have walked in and seen you 12 years ago to ask for a training program, you said we're going to sit there and I'm going to tell you about your feelings for half an hour first, I'd have probably walked out laughing.
Well, there's
enough. That was a question I was going to ask, actually.
There's another side to this as well. There's obviously my growth and development. We've highlighted that I was, still very much into well-being holistically, but obviously my knowledge has changed through my personal experiences and professional knowledge. But also, from a coaching perspective, or in any environment, are you going to throw a load of information at someone straight away? Like, what a good coach should do is keep a lot back and gradually let's just throw this in at the right time for the right person. And that's the nuance of working with people. It's kind of, I'm sitting on this information, do I just chuck it all at you? It's overwhelming, it's too much for anyone to take on board. So something I've learned personally as a coach is give something really small to someone, let's just work on that. Just something really small. It could be, try and eat a little bit less at lunch or something. Just work on that small thing, and gradually over time, then a window comes up and they're saying, I'm really struggling with this thing. Like, okay, well, how are you feeling? And like, I don't know, feelings, but that's opened a whole new door now.
Yeah.
But actually, you've got to find the right moment for that. And I think when we're passionate, and I think when I was younger, I was just being like, oh yeah, we'll do this, we'll do that, because I was just so keen and driven. But now it's more like less is more. Less is more. So it's finding those opportunities. And I've talked about emotions. I probably would have been too uncomfortable to talk about emotions 12 years ago because my emotional intelligence was pretty poor back then anyway. And I didn't have the knowledge or even see the impact on emotions, on behaviours or well-being. I just didn't have that knowledge or that life experience. But now I do. I'm very passionate about integrating that in some shape and form into my coaching.
Where's the journey you didn't need? It's the journey you didn't know you needed to go on.
No, absolutely.
Right? So you've opened up, as James has learnt more about it and been more passionate about it, he's opened the door for you. And I'm sure if you didn't want to, you wouldn't have to. But it's really opened so many doors for you in truly understanding yourself. So although it wasn't a journey you didn't know about, you didn't need to go on, you didn't feel you need to go on, now you have. It's been a life changer.
And it's genuinely been invaluable. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
But as you said, you've probably introduced it at the right time, in the right way. So I've understood it, and it's just become part of that natural what we do each week when we meet.
It's that kind of open-mindedness that's so important. With all this conversation we're having today, it's kind of like if you came into our coaching very fixed, very much kind of like it has to be like this, it'd been very difficult to coach someone. So my job is to help encourage that open-mindedness, but I kind of work with what I've got as well. Yeah. And that's kind of credit to any client who's done really well. When you say it's your clients, the ones who are open-minded, who want to maybe think about things differently and challenge their own beliefs and ways of doing things. Yeah. We're all going to do better in life if we can be as open to different things. If I was like still the same person I was 12 years ago, as you said earlier, mate, be bored. Yeah. I wouldn't be very fulfilled or satisfied with my career. The same stuff, just repeating the same year for the last 12 years, would have been boring. But I wouldn't be able to impact other people as much. Yeah. And it wouldn't have made as big a difference to my life or to other people. So doing the work on me and helping myself grow, it has an impact on other people. And this is coaching, but in any relationship, isn't it?
And sometimes with coaching as well, I don't know whether you guys have had this over the years, you'll have maybe a plan of a program, but someone might come in a different mood and you think, oh, actually that's not quite right today, I'm going to go in a different direction. Today we are just going to smash some weights. Or today there is more stuff going on. Actually, I can feel the client, or maybe you've opened up to James because you two have got this relationship where you can actually, I do want to actually talk about something a bit more today. And you can sort of let the client lead, can't you, to a certain thing. You've got a plan in your head of maybe where you'd like to take the session, But you never know quite how the client's going to rock up sometimes, because anything could have happened in life, and they might want to go one way or the other, and it's being opened and sort of flexible enough within your sessions to be able to change that. But if you have to have the knowledge and have done the progression in order to offer that flexibility. Because if you've only gone one way, literally just exercise, then you don't have the flexibility to be able to offer this other stuff as well.
We all need the ability to change,
Yeah.
don't we? And change might be sort of bigger behaviour. It could just be like nuance within your relationships again. You know, like if I'm not willing to change, this relationship isn't going to grow, because I can't react to different environments. I can be like, this is James, and this is all James does, and whatever you say and however you respond makes no difference to me. That relationship is not gonna go anywhere, because I'm not growing and developing. That's a drum that I keep banging today, but you can break that down to more nuances of how does Darren come into a session? We've had plenty of sessions we've just spoken for an hour.
We've done different things, and it could be, and you know, both of your guys, your skills are, when I come in and just working out, where can I take this today? And if that was in the gym, that might be how hard can I push Darren today without breaking him but getting the most out of him, which will be different from week to week. But also just say sometimes we'll have a chat for 10-15 minutes, sometimes it's the whole hour, just because actually you've brought something up there and I want to expand on that. So you come into it with a completely open mind about where this is going today.
Yeah, and it's about reading the situation that you're in, rather than having a preemptive mind of like, I expect it to be like this, it needs to be like that. And I think because that just causes us to be more dogmatic, and the more dogmatic we are, the less we kind of grow, the less we kind of learn, I suppose.
And the power sometimes of that conversation, rather than 1 hour a week of training, because you train, especially if you're training, I know you train outside of the session anyway, but the power that what you might unlock within that session, and that's based more around conversation, may be more powerful than the half an hour, 40 minutes you could have done training. So I've had it with clients with weight loss, for instance. Maybe there was something really holding them back, and I could beast them for another 40 minutes, but that 40 minutes out of a week's not going to make much difference. But maybe the conversation, we can unlock something that really can make a difference.
Because of the conversations and all the work we've done together, I definitely get more out of those other sessions, because I'm just in a much better frame of mind and much better physically able to do them because of the other work we put in. So it's invaluable.
It is. I think some trainers, especially, some trainers I think are worried to do it. Sometimes some trainers don't have the skill set as yet, and maybe that's something they want to improve on. But the other thing is, sometimes I think people, especially as a young trainer, I thought the only way I could deliver value was to make you really work hard in the hour. And I was always a bit worried if a conversation went a bit too long, thinking they're going to think I've wasted their time here. And of course, these years later, you flip it on your head and you realise actually the complete opposite. It can be the most powerful thing to do. But I think that can be difficult as a young trainer trying to build.
Yeah, I mean, the word value, I suppose, if you're going to have a conversation, it does need to be valuable. Obviously, you can have a bit of a laugh and a bit of banter as well, but there's got to be some value within that. That does create some sort of change, open some doors.
But are you guys quite different in terms of you work on that side of it? But I'm sure not all trainers do that. I mean, I'm guessing you go to your average gym and you meet an average trainer and they're going to spend an hour putting you through the gym.
Yeah, I mean, James will do it more than me, say, because that's his real passion and skill set and qualifications now. But through speaking to James a lot and been tutored by him, I certainly see the value in it. So I'll definitely open up a space for a conversation if a client needs it. And one of the things that James talks about a lot, which I really agree with, is like creating the right environment and setting for them. So I can feel if they need a bit of a quieter moment, can we find a quieter space and can we have a bit of a discussion and not rush them through that discussion to try and get them into an exercise. James will do it far more than me and far more skillfully than me, but it's certainly something that I'm more open to and I want to be better at, definitely. Cause
you've got to ask yourself, what's the difference you want to make? Like do you just want to be a trainer? Like, being a personal trainer is still incredibly skilled. Now you're really skilled in the exercise mechanic stuff. It takes a lot of knowledge, a lot of work, and often a good exercise session is a skill. It still means reading people, it still means understanding people. So I'm definitely not taking that away from the equation. But for me personally, and this is both our bias, I suppose, we want to not just be exercise coaches. We want to be health, well-being coaches and impact people's lives. And like I just said, that comes down to behaviours, psychology, emotions. That is so impactful. Like, exercise is one part of a big pie. And for me, I suppose, as I've got older, it's less of my coaching than it was, whereas before it'd been 90%. Now it's like 30% and all the other things. But that's just what I'm passionate about. Doesn't mean every trainer here who's listening to this would necessarily have to do that. I just think that it offers more personally as an overall package, I suppose.
I tell you the way I do it, and I realised this yesterday when we were talking about something, was I actually do it more within a session. So there's a lot of talking and potentially, depending on where the client needs to go, deeper talking. And it probably comes from my comfort in maybe speaking to people if they're getting emotional. You were talking yesterday about sometimes like a walking therapy session. I was talking about a client of mine. And some people feel more comfortable, say, walking side by side. It doesn't necessarily, it's not quite as, not that it's always confronting here, but it can be,
gotcha.
it can feel like that. And I suppose this comes from my more comfortable place, is if I'm having a deeper conversation with someone within a session, I feel like they can turn and face me or not face me, and I can sort of react to them. So we're not necessarily in a space where it's like that. It's more, we might even be on a row, I might come down to their level, we might be not facing each other, but I'm just trying to feel if a client wants to go deeper. Maybe they don't want to look at me, maybe they want to say something out loud, but they don't want to look at me. And so I do mine more within a session and create time and space within exercises. Whereas obviously James more on the sort of counselling therapy side, I'm sure there's times when you really want to just be in a quiet space with them.
Yeah, I think it's been really clear on what you're offering.
Yeah.
Because I think if trainers are listening to this and they're telling people I'm just personal training, and suddenly spending, the clients are wanting training,
Yeah.
and then you're spending all that time doing psychology, they're like, well, that's not what I signed up for.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm very clear, and the clients I take on now, look, I'm not just going to be training you, but talk about your health and your well-being holistically, this type of stuff, and to make sure we're the right fit.
Yeah.
And if you just want to be trained, then I'm not the right coach for you. There's plenty of others. It's been clear on that. Or the other way is it just moulds and develops over time, and people like Darren and a lot of my clients who are still with me for 12, 13, 14 years, we've kind of grown and developed together, and it just got tweaked and tweaked and tweaked till we've got a kind of a hybrid of everything. So it depends, doesn't it?
I was going to ask, I've seen the benefit of it, but we've grown that over time.
Yeah.
If you're talking to a potential new client that's come to you to say, I want a training session, and you explain, do they get it? Because I might not have got that without having experienced it. I just wondered how you get that across and sell the benefit of it, or show them the value of that.
Yeah.
That must be a difficult thing to get across initially.
Yeah, it's just sitting down having a conversation, isn't it really? And explaining the importance of looking at things holistically. And I think we are more knowledgeable now, maybe we were a decade ago. I think people are more open to those ideas than maybe 10 years ago. We were probably a little bit more kind of rigid. So I think these conversations are easier to have. There's a lot more conversations now around mental health and stuff like that. So in some ways that can really help me as a coach, because people can see actually this stuff does affect my well-being. But I suppose the main point I'm trying to make is it's all about relationships again, the right fit.
Yeah.
The right fit. And sometimes people will train with me and then suddenly maybe they need to go off down a different path. Or some people will come on board and be like, actually we're not the right fit and you'd be better off with this coach. So it's about me being really clear on who I am, my values and what I'm offering, and realising that I won't be right for everyone. And that's okay in any type of relationship. That's really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really, really important. I know we're getting towards the end, but something I think is really, really valuable for coaches to kind of understand is getting out of our bubble. We are in a bubble, and I alluded to this right at the beginning of the conversation. And to see and understand how it is from a client's perspective, and why maybe the general population struggle to change, because we talked about trainers, we bang on about do this and do that and do that. Well, from our perspective, we live in the industry, we live and breathe this. So it's like you try to explain accounts to me and Dan. It's like, talking to two people who are very simple-minded.
That'll take a longer session.
But we're not that interested, are we? Honestly. So we don't really care. No. So hence why that we've got you, and we're very open about that, and we're honest about that. But that's not our field. No, it would be shocking accountants, and that's okay. That's why we're not accountants.
Yeah.
But we
each to their own.
But we're good at what we do. So everyone's got their own skills, but everyone's in their own different bubbles. And for you, you're in a totally different field. When you see the people sort of around you and your colleagues and people that work for you or work with you, what are some of the sort of big challenges you've seen around why people struggle to change or with their health and their well-being? Because we only see each other or our clients, and that's it.
Yeah. Getting
out into this, that really interests me. What are some of the things that you've seen there that you think, well, actually, if they could just work on this, they might be able to move forward?
I don't really know some of that. In terms of, I guess, not just clients. Yeah, well, I won't just say colleagues. I don't want to narrow it down, but in terms of people I know, people don't know there's a different way. I mean, you were saying earlier, people get, I've put a bit of weight on, I've just got used to it.
Yeah.
Was it hedonistic adaptation we've talked about before, where people just get used to where they are? This becomes a norm. I think a lot of people are just, what I'm doing day to day is the norm.
Yeah.
This is what I do. And unless they suddenly, I guess, change their peer group or have some flash of something really different, they don't suddenly compare where I am to, oh, actually, look over there, that's something that looks really good. I guess they don't see it. And until something comes along that changes that, people are just going to crack on. We're just creatures of habit, aren't we? We're just going to carry on doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
I didn't expect, I didn't expect I'm going to be sitting here saying I'm really careful about what I eat. I hardly drink. I train 5 times a week. That was never on the cards. I just, suddenly as I'm getting a bit of weight on, I think I'll try and do something to change it. And it just so happens I met the right guy at the right time. Than you.
Story of my life, that.
I met the right person to support me on that journey and help make me see what it could be. And again, and even that took a long time in terms of, I understood I've got to go to the gym if I want to lose a bit of weight. But in terms of really working out where I wanted to be and how I got there and how that could massively impact how I feel, as opposed to I just want to be a bit leaner, that took a long time to sink in because I was so used. I was still going out and enjoying myself and doing all the things I did before. So I think it just takes a lot to change, and unless you're in the right environment. Sorry, that might be my phone.
Oh no, so my fire stopped.
Oh. And it's
both
despicable at the same time. Yeah.
Sing along.
There you go, sing along.
Yeah, no, so I think people are just, everyone's busy, aren't they?
Yeah.
You're working hard, you've got kids, you've got a mortgage to pay.
Yeah.
I ain't got time to think about the shit that might make a difference. I'm too worried to think about the stuff that I've got to do that's in front of me.
And that's really important to have like that compassion and empathy for people who have they're just trying to keep their head above water, aren't they? They've got maybe young kids or they've just got work stresses and they're just trying to keep going. And I suppose it comes back to those things we talked about really early on. It's just like something small can make a real big impact. Can you get to bed half an hour earlier?
Yeah.
Can you just make a small tweak with your diet? Can you just take a walk around the block? Like that's how we should be helping people as an industry, or people learning that those things can really impact you. And then where will you be in 5, 6, 7 years time? Who knows? Probably someone in a great place, and you're a great example of that.
Thank you. You what you said earlier, a bit earlier about you've got to hold some of that knowledge back and not throw everything at it at once.
Yeah.
If I saw someone that I thought could massively improve because they weren't doing some of the things that you've helped me achieve, and I went to and said, by the way, if you train for 5 hours a week and spend 3 hours prepping your food and go to bed and do it, sod off.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to happen.
And that's what people see there on social media. They hear all this stuff like, is that what I need to do to be successful at that thing? That's just too overwhelming. It's too much. No one's going to go there. Rather than just start really small. What's the first thing you can do? I can just see a trainer once a week and get to the gym once a week on my own. Great. That is an incredible place to start. Forget about anything else. Don't worry about it. Just do that.
Yeah.
And then maybe bit by bit, if the coach is good or whatever, then you can just gradually put it in.
As you say, small bits and consistency.
It's a game changer. It really is. That is just a really important job to kind of bang home today, I think, really, for everyone.
Also, wouldn't it go back to, say, people coming looking in from the outside? A lot of people don't know that they don't feel good. Because they don't know what it's like to feel good. So if you haven't exercised since you were young, or let's say I've got clients who've never exercised, didn't enjoy training even or sport when they were young, and so they don't know how good it feels when you're training on a regular basis, you drop a bit of weight and your sleep improves. They don't know that. So like you say earlier, it's like, can we have a little experiment? Can I start to improve? And where they notice it now is because they gradually feel better. It's when they have a break from training. Let's say they go on holiday or, I don't know, a big weekend or something, and they come back and they're like, they start to realise that's how they felt the whole time.
Yeah.
And now that they're training on a regular basis and doing whatever else to improve their health, this is how I can actually feel better. But until you experience it, you don't necessarily know. It's like what you say, right? Where you really learn and absorb from new experiences and yourself, not just people telling you about it. And I've had clients do that. They're like, I didn't know I felt shit until I started to feel better because I'd made these changes.
Because that was my norm.
Yeah, that is exactly that. And you've never known any different. I've had clients that never knew any different. So, I think from a general population thing, that's a really important point. You don't know how bad you feel until you start feeling better.
Yeah.
But awesome stuff. You got any more questions, mate?
No, I just think, with your coach, hopefully you've got some value from today to think about things from a client's perspective and how you can impact people's lives so much by just growing yourself and slowly giving people the right information at the right time. That's probably one of the biggest skills as a coach, I think. And as a client, seeing that if you can develop a lifestyle that you can be consistent with, That's where the value is, not about being perfect or being this is what the ideal is. No, where are you now? How can you just be? How can you put a set of circumstances together that allows you to be consistent? If you can't be consistent, it's not worth anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, consistency and just try and move forward a bit each day.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely.
Well, thank you very much for coming on, Darren.
Yeah,
pleasure.
thanks, Dan.
Enjoyed that.
Really appreciated, and a good conversation.
Quality conversation. Well, we're involved, mate.
Always going to be quality, mate.
I'll try to drag it down.
Yeah, to fuck one up yet.
Lucky we're sober. So
yeah, lucky we're
right.
sober. It was different
It
to last time I had the table out, wasn't it? Like, subscribe, and share. We're shit at this bit. We always say it at the end when no one's listening anyway.
Yeah.
But if you could like, subscribe, and share, that'd be great. Any PTs and somebody else, come give me a knock.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are we doing next week? Are we doing emotional intelligence?
Maybe.
Wait, mate. Oh, the camera's off. That's the end.
That's the end.
The camera's decided that's the
good
end.
timing.
We might as well put it back on for one. No? Camera's done. Shyby said that's enough. Right, guys, thank you for listening, and we will catch you next week.